Let us gather in a circle of sound like the rings from a pebble toss in a pool. Undulate outward to eternity and embrace the fabric of all being. And now, please, as you are able, rise in body or spirit. Let's go to our hymnals. Number 36. It won't be on the screen today, so use the gray hymnal.
Good morning, and welcome to Sunday morning worship here at Central Unitarian Church in Westwood. This morning's service is special in two ways. First, because it is our annual Music Sunday, brought to you by our choir conductor, René Galván, and the choir by our music director, Matt Anderson, and by our accompanist extraordinaire, John Freund, who is our video technician as well as a keyboard artist. We also welcome back Holly Hepp-Galván as one of our readers. Second, and this is always amazing, all of us, including those listening in, remembered to set their clocks ahead, tossing away a winter hour in order to welcome daylight saving and arrive on time. So thank you for making this morning possible. I am Susan Springstead, serving as your worship associate today. In 1969, my husband and I visited CUC with our young family in search of a spiritual home that would be foundational for them and a home for us. This congregation provided that and so much more over the years. And being a longtime choir member has just been an unexpected bonus for me. This religious community welcomes and draws strength from a diversity of ages, individual identities, and spiritual beliefs. Many have been moved, inspired, or changed by being here. May today's music and message touch something in you. Our welcome hosts are Patricia Joseph and Gay Rydell. They're right at the rear of the room and look forward to meeting any visitors here today. They will be there during coffee hour. Internet visitors are invited to sign our online guest book. You can find it in the chat at the bottom of your screen. There are announcements. I hope those of you here will use this time to silence your phones or devices, and that those online may want to ready a chalice to light when we light ours. So first, on Tuesday, March 19th, that's a week from this Tuesday, the Peace Islands Institute, whose aim is to promote understanding between all cultures, will be hosting an iftar dinner for members of CUC at 6:30 p.m. in Hasbrook Heights. Now, you may ask, as I did, what is an iftar dinner? And why are we invited? And why should I even think of going? So here is what I can tell you. The month of Ramadan begins today. Muslims abstain from consuming water or food while the sun is out. The word iftar means fast breaking. After an iftar dinner is one that takes place once the sun has set. It is an important time for those who participate in Ramadan because of their faith. It is also an opportunity for them to share this tradition with friends from different backgrounds over delicious food and to promote understanding through lively conversation. You can see our March bulletin for additional details or talk to Andre. We need to have signed up or said we're going by Friday, March 15th. Now, the second announcement is that CUC will now offer a monthly caregiver support group for anyone caring for a friend or family member. It will be led by Aviva Weldon, who has a degree in clinical social work. The first meeting will be here in the Westwood Women's Club on Monday, April 8th, from 1 to 2:30 in the afternoon. Future dates will be posted on the CUC calendar. For more information, you can get in touch with Aviva or Reverend Andre. We were proud to help our youth contribute substantially to the Center for Food Action last month, and during March, membership committee is collecting non-perishable food and cleaning supplies for Westwood neighbors in need. A box for donations is on this side of the room and will be there every Sunday in March. Now, being good renters, the Women's Club has asked that we remove all the folding chairs from the floor before Tuesday because they have a floor cleaner coming in, which is good. So, aside from the choir setup, which we will leave here for tomorrow night's rehearsal, we ask that at the end of the service, there's a full empty. There is a full rack ready to receive chairs in the back, and maybe one or two guys will help stack. And there's another one up here. So we'll take all of the chairs that are out in front, and that will make everything work better. Janice has a stewardship announcement for us.
Good morning. I'm happy to report that at this point we have 37 pledges, and we are at $89,300 of our $140,000 goal. So we still need $50,000, give or take. So we're at about 64%. And if you have not yet looked at the weekly messages that come out, at the very end is the opportunity to submit your pledges, and there's two little buttons there, and it could not possibly be any easier. I mean, name, amount, how often, and you're done. So please take a look at that if you have not already. And Jeff and I will be here at the end of the service if anybody wants to tell us your pledges. I just did a pledge for someone, and they said, okay, put me in for next year, same amount, and I'm done. So all you gotta do is just tell us. We cannot possibly make this any easier unless we came to your house and wrote the checks at the day they're due. So please take a look at that. And thank you very much for your generosity to this point.
And now, as we enter into a time of worship, please turn to the person near you and welcome them.
Welcome, Robert. Welcome, Ed. Welcome, Joe. Welcome, Betty.
Welcome.
Welcome, Susan.
Will you join me in our chalice lighting words? We light this chalice to remind us of our dreams, to nourish our heart, mind, and spirit, to work towards a better world for all, to embrace the whole of our human experience, to honor our past and our gifts of the present, to create a community where each of us may find healing, transformation, hope.
The Blue Songbird. Once there lived a blue songbird. Every morning she would wake up, hop to the edge of a high branch, and listen to her sister's lovely songs. The songbird always tried to join in with them, but she could never sing like they could sing. I'm not like my older sisters, said this songbird to her mother. Seems there are no songs for me. My dearest one, replied her mother, not just any notes will do. You must go and find a special song that only you can sing. So the songbird left her mother, left her nest and all she knew, and flew off to find her special song. When she reached a far-off land, she saw a giant bird unlike any she'd seen before. The songbird landed and began to chirp. Excuse me, Mr. Long-necked Bird. In your travels, have you heard of a very special thing, a song that only I can sing? The bird stretched his slender neck down low to where the songbird stood. My name is Crane, whooped the bird, and I'm sorry that I can't help you. But I see those mountains over there. Beyond them lives the wisest bird. If anyone knows where to find the answer, I'm sure it will be him. The songbird kindly thanked the crane, then flew off to continue her quest. She soared over the mountain peaks and dove down into a deep valley until she reached a dark pine forest. Here she found a bird who looked old and very wise. Hello, Mr. Wise Old Bird. In your long life, you must have heard of a very special thing, a song that only I can sing. I am Owl, hooted the bird. Who are you looking for? No, not who, answered the songbird. I'm searching for a song. But the owl only cocked his head. Who? There must not be the wise bird after all, thought the songbird. Still, she thanked him kindly and then flew off once more to continue her quest. The songbird crossed rivers and valleys, cities and oceans. All along the way, she always asked where she might find her song. But no bird ever had the answer. One windy winter day, she met a bird who looked a little bit mean and more than a little bit hungry. Even so, the songbird bravely chirped, "Please don't eat me, Mr. Scary Bird. I just wondered if you've ever heard of a very special thing, a song that only I can sing?" "Call me Crow," cawed the bird. "And I have heard of such a thing. Across the sea there is an island golden as the sun and filled with the most enchanting music. Fly as west as far as you can see, and there you will find the song you ask." The songbird kissed the clever crow, then set out to cross the sea. She flew storm and wind, through night and day, until she was more tired than she had ever been. But the songbird did not rest, for she knew that soon she would find her special song. Then she saw the island glowing like a jewel on the horizon. In the distance, she could hear the sound of beautiful music. "At last, I made it," laughed the songbird, and suddenly her wings felt strong again. She swooped down faster and faster, following the sound, until she found that after all this time, she was home. The songbird's heart fell. She had circled the whole world, spoken to every bird there was, but her quest had failed. Then she saw her mother, and all her disappointment disappeared. She had so many stories to tell, but when the songbird opened her beak to tell them, what came out was not words at all, but a song. She sang a song of crane and owl and of the clever crow, of cities and of stormy seas and mountains capped with snow, of all the warm and sunny days and the chilly nights alone, and of the love the songbird felt for her family and her home. The end.
I'm sorry, we didn't have the slides, so.
We have come together in community. We share our time and our talents. And we set aside time each Sunday to offer what we can from our individual treasure to support the staff and the programming that serves us and the greater community. Whatever you contribute today is gratefully received. Let us dedicate these gifts together. We dedicate these gifts in service of our mission to welcome all into a home of spiritual diversity that challenges us to become our best selves, to minister to one another in love, and to serve the greater community. Thank you.
Rabindranath Tagore on music. Music fills the infinite between two souls. The touch of an infinite mystery passes over the trivial and the familiar, making it break out into ineffable music. The trees, the stars, and the blue hills ache with a meaning which can never be uttered in words. Music is the purest form of art. Therefore, true poets seek to express the universe in terms of music. The singer has everything within them. The notes come out from the singer's very life. They are not materials gathered from outside. They are not materials gathered from outside. Melody and harmony are like lines and colors in pictures. A simple linear picture may be completely beautiful. The introduction of color may make it vague and insignificant. Yet color may, by combination with lines, create great pictures, so long as it does not smother and destroy their value. The world speaks to me in colors. My soul answers in music.
Now we enter into a quiet time, a time for sharing the joys and sorrows that connect us as a congregation. This segment of our service is not included in our internet recording and allows us to share these moments within the space of those gathered here. We do this so that we can speak freely and reach out to each other. Those here at the service in Westwood have lit candles and written notes that I will read. And those online are encouraged to share joys or sorrows in the chat. At the end of this period, there will be a moment for those here to share out loud names of those they are holding in their hearts today. So let us quiet ourselves. Enter a holy space of listening. Breathe in a breath of life. Breathe out a breath of peace. Blessed be.
We have a card for Mary on the back table over here, if you care to sign it after this.
If you are watching us online, you did get to see all the lovely pictures of the story that Renee put together. Unfortunately, I was not aware that the TV had gone off, so I can't see it back there. Trust me, they were nice. It's never over, no it's not. Will I get more than what I've got? Life now moves slower, but I'm still moving forward. It's never over. It's never over, don't I know? Like the sun about to blow, and we're stuck staring at the sky, waiting for the nova. It's never over. Of course I want the relief that comes with belief that I could be free from what's following me. But when what's done turns into what is to come, well, I'll face the sunshine with a clear mind, still aware of the shadow cast behind me. It's never over, so it seems. Will I still waste my time on dreams? My will won't wait for fate to heal all this hurting I feel from this burden.
it's never over.
Heinrich Heine on music. Music is a strange thing, a sort of nebulous mediator, like and unlike each of the things it mediates. Nothing is more futile than theorizing about music. No doubt there are laws, mathematically strict laws, but these laws are not music. They are only its conditions. The essence of music is revelation. What then is music? It exists between thought and phenomenon, like a twilight medium. It stands between spirit and matter, related to and yet different from both. It is spirit, but spirit governed by time. It is matter, but matter that can manage without space. Where words leave off, music begins.
Where Everything is Music by Rumi. Don't worry about saving these songs.
And if one of our instruments breaks, it doesn't matter. We have fallen into the place where everything is music. The strumming and the flute notes rise into the atmosphere. And even if the whole world's harp should burn up, there will still be hidden instruments playing. So the candle flickers and goes out. We have a piece of flint and a spark. This singing art is sea foam. The graceful movements come from a pearl somewhere on the ocean floor. Poems reach up like spindrift and the edge of driftwood along the beach, wanting. They derive from a slow and powerful root that we cannot see. Stop the words now. Open the window in the center of your chest and let the spirit fly in and fly out.
And John plays the doumbek on this as well. I've summoned him.
The one over there?
So stand. That's me now, and then I'll need the key. Oh, that works, yes. All these moving parts and all the electronic gear. So I think I'll put this away, and I'm just using the headset. So pleased to be before you again. And I titled this one Music and Meaning, and it's half written and half extemporaneous. So we'll see what gives. So music and meaning. During the last Christmas Eve service, I saw that our friend John was slated to perform one of my least favorite songs. So I prepared myself to maintain a pleasant expression on my face, but something else happened. As he began to play and sing, the music took on a different character from the original piece, and he transformed it through his own particular form of alchemy. And my face must have worn a look of astonishment. He achieved this by slowing the tempo, that is, the speed of the work, by employing more advanced harmonies, and by singing with the soulful vocal texture that was absent in the original. He also played with the subtle rubato, and that is the varying of tempo, at times going slower or at times going faster, and sometimes pausing briefly on a word for emphasis, allowing for a deeper expression of the text. What does this all mean? How does music move us profoundly or simply serve as background noise? Just as art and architecture have basic components which we are all able to discern in some way or another, these consist of form and space, dimensions, texture, color, and perspective. Music is constructed through more ineffable materials which correspond to these qualities I've mentioned. We who are trained in this area are well aware of what these elements look like on the page and how they are born into sound, but it is more difficult for the layperson to come to a complete understanding of the process. And this is not to say that one can't appreciate a work on many levels, but a greater knowledge broadens a person's experience. Having taught music classes for the non-musician and at the graduate professional level for 30 years, I found that the average person hears the elements of music in this order. And by the way, these courses took place over about 15 weeks, so I will abbreviate many things. And so we hear the melody generally. Most people hear it. You know, just let me take something simple. Right, that's the melody. And the melody is derived from scales. You know. And you all know this from the Sound of Music. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And I just use these notes in a different order and a different rhythm. So these are the same notes I played in the scale, but depending on how we put them in order and how fast or slow we play them, that's the rhythm, then it takes on a different idea. You know, I could do this. Mozart, you know, same scale, but a different tune, right? Different tune. And then, of course, I think the first thing, I got ahead of myself. The first thing people hear is the beat, right? Which we heard on the drums. And in most popular music, it's this ad nauseum. Boom, boom. We hear that, and then we hear the melody. And then the text, we don't hear as a culture so much the text. I was reminded of a friend of mine for many years. When we were in high school, we were on a band trip, and she had made a T-shirt that quoted one of her favorite songs by the Bee Gees, and it said "Strawberry Woman," and then everyone started making fun of her. And "Strawberry Woman, what the heck is this?" "Oh, more than a woman." That's what she meant. That's what the song was. And I said, stop laughing at her, because in all fairness, their diction is terrible, and we can't understand the song anyway. And so we don't really hear the poem, right? And so I said, you come and sit with me, and I gave her a Coke, you know. Kara was her name. And the text, not so much. And then the harmony is the other element, and certainly this is the movement of chords through time. And most people don't hear this at all. This is not even absorbed. And when we play the scale, each one of these steps has a chord that can be formed over it. So Do is C major, and then we go to the next note. Re is D minor, and then the next step is Mi. It's E minor unless we add unless we raise a third, and then Fa, F major. I build the chord over that, and then G, So, La is A minor, and then T, which is diminished naturally, but sometimes we'll go, or we might change it to this, but basically it's a diminished sound, meaning we have all minor thirds, whatever that means. And then this leads us to, as she says in the song, Do, right? So we come to C major, right? And so, I showed you the scale of. Now it's possible to make a chord based on these steps to accompany that, isn't it? There I've used two chords, one based on Do, and then one based on So. Very basic. And so these are very basic things. So the song I mentioned before, it pretty much does this, and that's it. So John added like 5 or 6 different ones to make it rich, right? And that's what we mean by these constructions. And so the other thing I wanted to demonstrate for you was the idea of meaning and feeling in music. Normally we, the Mary Had a Little Lamb, we want it. Now what if I did it this way? How does that change it? So we, in the Western music, we construe this as being a happy sound or cheerful. This is more funerary. Understand? We feel this. And this is in our culture because in the music of the Middle Ages, we didn't have this note. In harmony, it came around later. We had, it's neither major or minor. And so you could have some really happy hymn sung by the church, and it would be like this. Now, if I add a note in the middle, that changes it, doesn't it? Now, if I drop the note in the middle, down just the smaller step, the half step, it changes it, doesn't it? It has a different feeling. So all these things we did for you today, they employ this sort of thing, whether it was the piano music or these anthems that we sang or the hymns themselves. We're using these building blocks. Now, how is it possible to take the same building blocks that are here, because we only use these notes in Western music. That's it. In other cultures, say we have Middle Eastern music, this has no frets like a guitar, so I can play in between notes. That's different. Hear how that's different? See how it's bending? So that's a feature of Middle Eastern music, is to use notes that are in between our classical 12 notes. So there are many more notes. And in Indian music, there are even more. This happens just to be a drone. This. So that's a little bit more like ours. It's those are tonics and fifths. And so understand that we use a completely different language from a lot of indigenous cultures. And so when I talked about John's performance, I used the word alchemy in the description of his performance, and that's really quite an apt usage. I own a scholarly tome entitled Bach and the Meaning of Counterpoint, which includes a chapter called The Alchemy of Bach's Canons. The alchemy. The author goes on to explain the mystical nature of the process that was considered in the 17th century and how it gave way to the aesthetics of the Enlightenment, ushered in by Bach's own sons, I might add, and culminating in the works of Haydn and Mozart. And in a given section of a work by Mozart, we find fewer chords than is used in the simplest piece by Bach, right? he'll do this, and then all of a sudden, but lots of other things are happening. You know, he uses different ways to express. But none of my professors in all my education never made the connection between art and mysticism, preferring to refer to each musical building block as a cut and dry deal, right? And we have very specific nomenclature for each element. Hence, Yearsley's aforementioned book is considered by most in academia to be esoteric. And at the time I got the book in the 90s, it cost $200 because there were only a few copies printed. And it's a brilliant book. And as a practicing musician and poet for 50 years, I have a different view than those professors. And I'm always asked in this endeavor who I consider to be the greatest composer musician of all time. And having performed every genre of music from children's songs to J.S. Bach, the sheer volume of his work and the quality of each measure of music stuns me. Beethoven and Brahms kept a hand-copied score of the B minor Mass in their coat pocket, right, as a constant reference to see how did he do this? What is his alchemy, right? How did he do this? And so I think he transcends the art in any culture, any genre, any style. Just the sheer volume of and the quality of each thing. We have 300 cantatas that we're aware of. A lot of them were lost. And then the oratorios, which are like unstaged operas. And the keyboard music, it's voluminous and it's astonishing. Some people are really proud of having made 10 LPs, something like that. 10 LPs with maybe 10 songs. We're talking, each of those cantatas is about 20 minutes or more. And of the greatest vocabulary and genius. So it's amazing. And so to show you this, I've chosen perhaps the only simple piece that Bach ever wrote, and it's the first Bach I ever played, and I probably played it better as a child. The Prelude in C from his collection, The Well-Tempered Clavier. There are no words in this piece, so what does it mean, if anything at all? Is it simply a collection of beautiful sounds or something more? So, I showed you what harmony is, the combination of notes in the scale. We combined them to do that, to make a full-bodied sound. Well, this is what he does in this piece. I'll see if I can actually read these notes. He does this, then he uses 2 with an added 2, and then he does this. And that's his statement, and he goes back to home. So in most Western music, we want to start at home and then get back there. But then he starts another dialogue. He does, and think of it as this. Aha. And then he does this. And he says, okay, what about this? And now this. A dissonance. Oh, I don't know, he says. And then, well, I'm going to probe a little more. And then he does this. To me, that's a bit of astonishment, don't you think? My professor would say it was 7 for 2 of 2. That's how he would call it. But to me, that's astonishment. Of course it's that. That's our label for it, right? And then he goes here. He departs from it. And then he goes here. He's still questioning himself or you. And then I love this one. What does that feel like to you? It's a mist. It's a haze. It's, to me, maybe an uncertainty, yes? And then he wants to get out of it. He got away from it. And now this. And now this, I don't know yet. Oh, that's juicy. And then this, a little bit somber. And now this. That's quite a clash, isn't it? You see how that sounds not quite natural, right? And then he goes here. And he's finding his way back to you, isn't he? But not yet. Oh, I'm coming a little further. I'm coming up out of the water. And then that's pretty normal. And then I'm going back down again a little bit. And then, oh, I'm almost home, but not yet. We like to have the 4 there. And then this one, 5-7, which is going to lead us back to home. Understand? Can you intuitively feel that there's a motion, and he's moving without words? But that's just the harmonic. That's the harmony. He always thought in harmonies in his brain, and so that's not the piece. That's the underlying subtext of the piece. Like you have in a novel sometimes, there's a subtext, right? And so what does he do with this? And you probably, some of you have heard it. He does this. I'm sorry, I didn't look, I guessed, so I shouldn't guess. Made a mistake, sorry. And then he goes here. And in the movie Tar, she says, oh, here, he first asked the question. Now he's trying to answer the question. And I say, I lost my place. I did. I lost my place, sorry. And then he does this. A little bit of a fog there. Remember that when I played it just by itself? And then this. And that's normal. Now he's just holding his place. Now he does this. He's descending into the depths of the water. That's how I feel it. And now a little bit of dissonance, uncertainty. Maybe I can come up. No, I'm deeper here. And there he goes. He's finding his place, but oh, I like that one so much. And then, and now this. I'm sorry I did. I'm talking and I'm not paying attention. That's pretty normal as far as the chord goes. And then he's going to try to come back up to you. And then this, he just changes position. And now this is astonishing. He's coming back to us step by step. And then he gives you a tag. I'm sorry. What did I do? I'm not reading it. I got ahead of myself, didn't I? I'm sorry. Now he's home. Yeah, it's blurry. I can't see it. But I did play the last part right. So he comes home, right? And it's amazing that, he gives you, he's thinking this way. He's thinking that way. But then he changes the order of the notes he's conceived of before to give you this piece. And it's probably the only easy thing he wrote, though I butchered it here because I'm using I didn't intend it as a performance. And then someone in the 19th century by the name of Gounod came along and took this prelude and he added his own melody to it. And it's called Quod Libet. And it's totally appropriate because Bach would take beer drinking songs and put them into his masses, right? And so Gounod did this. Ave Maria, gratia sia plena, and so forth. So Gounod comes around, he takes this piece verbatim, and then he adds another melody on top of it. Because once you understand how all these little pieces match up, you can do almost anything you want. It's such a wonderful thing to realize. And my conservative professors would be scoffing at me right now, but they have every right to be wrong. And that's the thing, desk jockeys, they write about it. And my doctoral orals, I asked them, because they were having an argument with me, I said, have any of you ever played a sonata? And they said, and I sat down. I started playing Beethoven. And I says, well, have you ever conducted a symphony? And I says, well, I've done all this, and I've conducted all the Beethoven symphonies. And so this, and this happens. And you can't deny this. And they're all, but, yeah, that was trouble. But, so anyway, what else did I say? Oh, so then I talked about Gounod, and then I already explained the instruments. I was showing you the Schrammendal, and I must compliment you and thank you for being so attentive. When Matt is playing the prelude or the postlude, you listen quietly, and we do the offertory, of course. I've been to other churches where it's just background music and people are talking, and carrying on. And I remember my colleague, Kent Tritle, who's one of the best organists in the whole world, and we'd go see my daughter sing with him at St. John the Divine, and he would go up to the loft and play this brilliant piece. And people were just yapping and going to coffee hour, making noise, as if this were just some kind of background music. And it's not. You have this man playing it, so I'd sit in the front chair and listen to him. And I was at a church in Westchester, and I'm playing this thing. This is. A woman comes up to me, it's a prelude. She goes, good morning, and I'm playing, and she goes, I said good morning. And so a lot of the time, music can serve as background music. If you go to the grocery store, that's certainly some of that is. But it has a deep spiritual and metaphysical meaning when done on the highest levels. And we certainly try to present to you things that have some meaning in the service. If you've noticed, Andrea will give me a theme for any given service, and I will try to find a piece of music that will enhance or match the theme that she's chosen. And it's much more difficult in Unitarian Church because we don't have the lexicon. In the Catholic Church, there's a choral piece, or more than one, there are hundreds, for each Sunday, for each reading that's always read. The same reading is always read every year and the same Sunday, etc. And so there are all these pieces made by the masters that will fit that Sunday, so you just have to pick one. But here we have to think a little more. What are we going to do for, say, we have, what is it? We're doing some kind of earth celebration, I think. We're going to sing For the Beauty of the Earth, I think, in April. So that fits the sermon theme, right? So anyway, I'm getting the music from from the director. The maestro says, "No, you're going along at the Oscars, right?" So anyway, that's what I wanted to tell you. There's always so much to tell you, and I have so very little time. But that's about what I can get through the day because the hour grows long. Considering Bach's day, though, at his services, those church services were 3 hours long, and then they went and had lunch, and they came back for some kind of oratorio. And my wife says, well, there was no cable TV then. And she also reminded me, too, of a Mahler quote. I have to bring this up. A colleague was talking to her, and about Mahler was playing a piano piece for Society of Women. And then the woman comes up and says, well, can you explain this piece to me? And I says, okay. And he sat down and played it again. And that's what it means. So what I say is one thing. It's an interpretation. It's something that we bring from our imagination. Because without that, it's just simply notes on a page, and just not random sounds, but just pretty sounds. But if you find something inside of it, there's a lot of meaning, yes? So, and what's next?
Bach.
Oh, yes, so we're going to sing Bach. It's the only Bach we have in the hymnal. And this is 414, if you will. Matt will play it once and we'll sing it twice. Please stand.
And now, as we extinguish this chalice flame, let us remember our promise to each other for the week. Let's repeat the words. We extinguish this chalice flame, but not our promise to each other, to act with grace, to hold each other in love, to serve this community and our world. This promise of the heart serves as a reminder of how we live together. May it bring joy to our collective lives.
Now, words of Percy Bysshe Shelley. Music, when soft voices die, vibrates in the memory. Odors, when sweet violets sicken, live within the sense they quicken. Rose leaves, when the rose is dead, are heaped for the beloved's bed. And so thy thoughts, when thou art gone, love itself shall slumber on. And John. Thank you for your indulgence.
Please join me in saying bravo to our music director, our choir, and our choir conductor.